What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Attacking the Paint podcast. I'm your host, James Ivy Williams, with my co-host, Evan Mo Skilliter. What's up, Mo?
What's going on, man? March Madness tournament. How about
Yes,
that?
sir. Yes, sir.
Already
Best time of
here.
year.
Best time of the year. I've watched more basketball in the last 5 days or I guess not technically the last 5 days, but throughout the first two rounds of the tournament that I've watched in quite some time. A lot of fun basketball, a lot of really good teams, really good coaches. Man, it's been fun.
Yeah, man. This is literally like it's like a kid's Christmas or a girl's Valentine's Day. This is this is it. This is
Yeah.
just it's exciting, man. It's exciting, like just competitive basketball at every turn. Like you said, great coaches, great players, great prospects. Just the atmosphere and the environment. You can't really like beat March Madness on top, and that's just the NCAA tournament. Then you talk about NIT, which has good games. CBI has good games. They're good games throughout the entire month of March, so to speak. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, and James, I want to throw a change up at you here because
Mm-hmm.
I know you're a humble guy. I know you don't talk about yourself a ton. You don't talk about the good stuff that you've done a whole lot, but um, I want to mention the hard work that you've put in to your company to Between the Lines. Tell the listeners how many different credentials you had for tournament games across the United States.
Wow. Let me count. Let me count. I think
So,
six or seven. Six or
so
seven. Yeah.
yeah, so ultimately, the fact that you had to count is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
I think that the work that you've done, the recognition that you've gained, the respect that you've gained throughout the NCAA, throughout NBA circles, even is just fantastic, and you should be proud. I feel comfortable saying that as an outsider, right? Because like you built it, right? You're the humble one. I just want to make sure people um, recognize the work that you've put in.
Oh man, I definitely appreciate that. It's a labor of love, bro. I think I told you off air, like I almost cried on Thursday when I was in Birmingham. I mean, it was just picking up the credential, getting the parking pass. Like, and I've got credentials at other stuff, but this was the one for me. Really, it really was. I mean, it was
Well,
it
yeah, I
was
think
emotional.
Yeah, I bet. I think about last year, we tried to get credentials to the first four games, right, in
Yep,
Dayton, and we didn't
yep,
even get that,
yep.
right? So to go from that to 6 or 7 credentials to the actual big dance,
Yeah.
man, congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And obviously keep up the good work. A lot of good people on the team,
For sure.
doing some good work across the U.S. So for this episode, normally we talk a lot about NBA, but I mean, there's not much bigger right now than this college basketball tournament. So let's talk about it a little bit. A lot of cool storylines, a lot of stuff
Mm-hmm.
happened. My, people always talk about their bracket, and I almost get tired of the question. Like, I do want to rant for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, going
Go ahead.
back,
Go ahead.
no matter where you go during March, people always say, "How's your bracket?" Right? Like I go to church, I go to work, go to the grocery store. Oh man, how's your bracket? How's your bracket? It doesn't matter how my bracket is, right? Like it doesn't matter how anybody's bracket is. Jay Billis does this for a living and he has a bad bracket,
Yep.
right? Like there are really smart people that have bad brackets. If you have a really, really, really good bracket, chances are you got lucky along the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I usually don't fill out a bracket just so I can say, I don't have a bracket. Like
Yep.
just cancel the conversation. This year I did have a pool with some students in a class of mine. So I did fill out a bracket. It's not
Mm-hmm.
that good, but I don't really care.
Right.
Right? Like ultimately who cares how your bracket is? Just watch the basketball. That's just me on the soapbox being frustrated because like I don't care to have that conversation.
No, I'm with you, bro. Like I haven't done a bracket in years, and for me, like I always say the same thing. I just want to see good basketball games. That's it. Like because I know the season's coming to a close. I literally just want to see competitive, good basketball. That's it. And we see blowouts from here or there because some teams are just not evenly matched. But like for the most part, just competitive, spirited, tough basketball. That's all I care about. So I'm with you 100%. I hate the question. I think the people in my circle have stopped asking me because they know, like, bro, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care who
Yeah.
wins. I have no skin in the game. I don't care. I just want to see good basketball. Every game I watch, I wanted to be the closest. I want to be a nail biter every time. That's what I want. A nail
Yeah,
biter every
yeah,
time. That's all I
yeah.
want.
I think the other thing is for me, like every year, there's like a handful of upsets that I think could happen, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I think Furman could have a chance against Virginia. I think like some people even thought FDU would have a chance against Purdue. Like that's great, and I
Mm-hmm.
always have a handful of those. I'm usually right on a few. I'm usually
Mm-hmm.
wrong on a few. Like
Mm-hmm.
every year. And so just because I got a couple upsets, right, doesn't mean I'm the smartest guy in the room, right? Like
Right.
I had a handful. I was wrong just as much as I was right. Probably wrong more than I was right. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just one of those things that drives me nuts. But let's talk about the actual basketball and a couple of the upsets we had. Let's start with Virginia
Mm-hmm.
dropping a 1 point game to Furman. I don't know how much you can trust Virginia in the tournament anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I mean, for me, the reason for me right now is like you literally threw the game away because you're up with 3 seconds left. You make a horrible pass, they catch it and walk right into a three. For me, like that's I'd rather I'm a stickler about certain things. I'm a stickler about live ball turnovers and dead ball turnovers in basketball. It's one of my biggest pet peeves that some people do dumb stuff like dive out of bounds to try to catch balls and they end up throwing to stuff like that irks me to my soul because I'd rather you take a 5 second count and they've got to go draw something up and get a shot off as opposed to you being nervous and just chucking the ball hoping that one of your guys catches it.
Yeah.
So for me, that is the most frustrating part about it is that how it ended because you were up. You should have been up more, right? And again, now they were the first team to lose to a 16, right? You obviously you redeem yourself, come back next year, win the tournament, win the whole thing, great. But you've been up and down pretty much.
Remember they lost to Ohio
Oh,
uh
exactly.
2 years ago, maybe last year,
Yeah.
recently. Yeah.
So for me, that's the oh man, like yeah, I don't think that we can trust Virginia right now, and not that they don't have great coaching and they don't have talented teams, but there's something in the water there that you know um, crunch time comes around and maybe
Yeah.
they don't have the horses in the race they need or something there isn't right. And again, we know they won a national championship, so we can't say that like everything's all it's not all bad. But there's something to the fact that you lost like that and you lost to several, not saying that low majors can't be high majors, we know that's true, but like that you're the one that's always taking these L's. It's not that it happens, that it's happening to you on a regular basis. That's kind of the issue for me, that it's always happening to you.
Yeah, at some point you just kind of feel like there's a mental block there, right? Like
Yeah.
there's something about the big game that just doesn't go well
Yeah.
for Virginia. You keep looking down the list, and Princeton over Arizona by 4 was crazy. But what's crazier is Princeton destroyed Missouri the next day by 15.
Yeah.
So they made their way to the Sweet 16. Um, for me as like a basketball just junkie, I love to see a team like Princeton that plays so well together, so well coached, so fundamental, come out on top against some good teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the encouraging part because they always talk about talent, right? Coaches want the best talent. The most talented players want to go to the best teams, right? All these things, right? And you have a team of first of all, non-scholarship athletes. I don't think a lot of people understand that the Ivy League doesn't offer athletic scholarships. So you've got non-athletic scholarship kids. Obviously, these are kids with talents, and they probably could have went to other schools and got scholarships. But just for the sake of argument, they don't have college scholarships. They're in one of the toughest academic institutions in the country, and you're carrying a full basketball schedule and all those things, right? And you go out and you beat one of the top 8 teams in the country first, right? Maybe it's luck, maybe it's the sun is shining on you, right day, right time, right? But then to follow it up and pretty much dismantle Missouri, who physically was just more physically imposing completely, 100%. Like they've had
Yeah.
some, and you just you break them down. That's March for me. Like that's it. You break down a more physically imposing team, and they can't keep up with you. Like they were Missouri gave up so many wide open jumpers. It was like, what are you guys doing that like these guys keep making shots and you keep giving them shots to make?
Yeah, I think it's hard to say. I think
Yeah.
it kind of comes back to that sometimes that mental block again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're playing against a 15 seed, and
Right.
um, sometimes I don't know. It's a lot of times that's the beauty of the tournament, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
unexplainable. Like it just that's why we love it. No one thought Princeton was going to win 2 games, let alone one.
Right.
Um, and that's that's what I love. That's what I
Yeah.
love. So in that bracket, Alabama, San Diego State, Creighton, Princeton. Um, I I love Alabama. I love the way
Mm-hmm.
they're playing. I love their style. I mean, I love everything about Alabama right now. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think they lose in that bracket. Do you have? I mean, would you anticipate anything otherwise?
I don't either. I think maybe there's still some talent there, but I think they're probably the most talented team still in that bracket by far. Obviously, and we saw Brandon Miller have a horrible game one, which I don't think that was I was there, and I don't even think he even it was one of those games that it seemed like the star player knew they were going to win, and he was trying to let everyone else get off because while he would take a few shots here and there when he had to, he wasn't looking to score the ball. He wasn't looking to impact the game. He was just out there as a decoy almost because he knew they were going to win. So I feel like for him and that whole entire team, which like again, like I said, I think they're the most talented team, like top to bottom, probably in the country to be honest. Top to bottom, just like talent wise, they're um, they're arguably I'm saying that word horribly
It's all right.
wrong.
Yeah,
The most talented team in the country, in my opinion. And so if they're talented and they do what they've been doing, I see no reason why they at least don't march to the Final Four. Um,
yeah.
and at that point, it's just hopefully you get lucky. That's what that is. I think you get lucky.
Well, and listen, their opponents in the Final Four, their opponent is going to be either FAU, Tennessee, Kansas State, or Michigan State. Um, I don't, again, on paper and
Yeah,
based on what I've seen this year, I don't see one of those 4 teams beating them
yeah.
either. And so looking forward to what Alabama can do moving forward. But if you go down to that bracket, Purdue, the 1 seed, falls
Mm-hmm.
to FDU, and one of the most animated, lovely, brilliant coaches I've ever watched be
Mm-hmm.
interviewed before. Um, Fantastic dude who is now on the move.
Yep. Iona,
He's
right? Iona.
Iona. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But how about FDU? Now, I will say it did seem like there was some buzz around FDU possibly beating Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
Coach certainly helped that by saying the more I watch Purdue, the more I think we can win, which
Mm-hmm.
I thought was hilarious and awesome. Um, because again, I think he believed it, like
Yeah.
truly. I think he believed it, and his team did too, and they beat the 1 seed.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think that's probably the most impressive coaching job that you can see, right? Because when you're supposedly unmatched and underskilled, the only thing that you can do is inspire and encourage, right? And if you do that to the magnitude, maybe your players will believe it enough to go play out of their fucking minds, right?
Yep.
And that's what you get, right? You get a team that believes everything their coach says. And it's one of those things that people they misconstrue it all the time. But like when people say, "Oh, they'll run through a brick wall for their coach," that's what that was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That group of guys ran through a brick wall for him because he believed in them so much that there's no way that we can't. And obviously on the other side, it's a it's like boxing, it's a style thing, right? So like they were quicker and more skilled, and Purdue was bigger and stronger, right? So and much bigger, by the way. Not even like Zach
Yeah.
Edey ate, like he ate, but they stopped going to him. So like this is what happened. So like we're gonna bottle him up. Now you guys have to make shots. So and they didn't make shots. So I mean, but it was a fight of styles, and like I at any given time, you know, a Goliath can go down. Like I read that book by Malcolm Gladstone, David and Goliath, and they really talked about how like how utterly insanely confident David had to be to just say, oh, I got it. You know, like kind of like right,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
like that's how you have to be um so optimistic and so delusionally optimistic is the term that's been coming out recently. Delusionally
Yeah.
optimistic about yourself and your skills and your talent that you could go beat literally a Goliath. Like Zach E's 7'4", 360 pounds. Like FDU's biggest
Gosh.
guy was 6'7", right?
Yeah. The smallest
Make
team in the country. Yeah.
right. Like how, right? Other than utter belief and delusional delusions of grandeur is what it is. Like how else can you explain that? Right? Like
Yep.
it's crazy. It's literally it is the term's thrown around, but that's literally like when you have the smallest team in the country playing against the biggest person in college basketball.
Yeah.
Like that's it. That's
Yep.
it. They took
Add this, add the seeding into the equation, right?
mhm.
16 versus 1. Like
Yeah,
everything about it was David versus Goliath.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure. But epic. I mean, epic, just so insane to watch. And like it's one of those things like if you're a basketball purist, outside of Purdue fan, obviously I don't know if you're a Purdue fan or like you're upset if you're a Purdue fan. Not you, just saying like if they're Purdue fans, like I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
understand you being a Purdue fans being upset. But other than that, everyone else in the country had to be rooting for that moment because it's so special.
Yeah.
It's I mean, there are guys who are gambling and doing other shit, but like just a basketball purist, like if you're a basketball purist, that's what you want to see because it says anything's possible. It's the hope that it gives people, it's the encouragement that it gives people. Like I could do anything I put my mind to it, and for these 40 minutes, I'm gonna show you guys why.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really beat that. Can't beat that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, can't beat that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they do end up falling the next
Mm,
round of Florida Atlantic. A lot of times that can be a matchup thing. Sometimes it
mm-hmm.
can just be like an emotional drainage, right?
Right.
Like you come off the biggest victory, uh, possibly of all time, and
Mm-hmm.
they fell by 8. Good run though, Duke and Tennessee. Kind of expected that. Now, tell you what, I did not expect Tennessee to win over Duke by 13. Duke was the hottest team in basketball coming into the tournament, and Tennessee and Rick Barnes just ran right through them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was um I can't say that like, a lot of the commentators were definitely trying to talk about Mark Mitchell being out, but Tennessee was missing their starting point guard. It's
Yep.
the same thing. And so like at that point, in sports, you got to line them up. You like you step on the court, you're playing. So you can't talk about who you're missing and why you're missing them. You play to win the game. And while I'm with you, like Duke was so hot coming into the tournament that I didn't expect that either. But at the same time, Tennessee's been a really good team the entire season, and I think they had got to like number 2 or 3 in the country at one point in time. So I think when they were pretty high. I think after they beat Alabama, they were pretty high in the rankings. So talented team overall. I mean, and their season too. They're older. I think they're an older team overall compared to some like Duke's core guys are all relatively young. Like Tennessee's guys are pretty seasoned a little bit. And so that's the one thing about the tournament that I think people forget too. I think people see names and not identify players. Like if you've got some guys that have played and have been in big games and are not intimidated by the names on the other jerseys, on the front of the other jerseys, like and it's just basketball, anything's possible, right? I,
Yeah.
I I firmly believe in old guards win more than young guards win in the tournament, um, and I think that was the key for them. Like they had a really seasoned. I can't say his name. Is he Italian? The Italian point
Yeah,
guard.
I can't say his name either.
Yeah,
I'm with you. Yeah.
yeah, but he's I've been watching him since he was in NBA academies, 3 years ago, and he was
Sure.
a monster then. So to see him now 3 years later leading the team, and it's impressive, man. I'm really excited for him and just the team overall. Rick Barnes continues to kind of just reinvent, what the Tennessee program is. After having run at Texas for some years, so you know, you Tennessee's a contender. I mean, you can't. They've got size, they've got skill, they've got shooting. I mean, they've got a lot to work with. So, the wrong day, wrong time, you might catch a L.
There you go.
Might catch a
Yeah.
L. Yeah.
Absolutely. So underneath that, Kansas State took out Montana State and Kentucky. Disappointing season for the Wildcats, but I really don't want to get into it if we could avoid it.
Yep, you'll be fine.
Yeah. So Kansas State, though, I do want to talk about that for just a second. They went off in the last minute, last, I don't know, 4 minutes or so of that game. Absolutely went scorched earth. And I think the way I see that and the lesson that's learned in that game, just keep shooting, right? Like they struggled throughout the game from the field, and then ultimately caught fire, and that's what propelled them to victory. Like it felt Warriors-esque, right? Like they just couldn't they couldn't miss. They went on one of those legendary runs,
For
and
sure.
they took out the Cats. Michigan State took out Marquette. Disappointing, but ultimately, like, dude, Tom Izzo, the I just think you have to always bet on him in the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament. Like, if you're a betting person, which I'm not, but if you bet on basketball, always bet Michigan State the first 2 rounds.
Yep, I agree. It's one of those things. I think his kids are always well coached. They always play defense. They're always solid. If nothing else, they're solid, right? So I think when you're so well coached, the moment's never too big for a team. How we talked about Virginia earlier, and like maybe sometimes those moments are just too big for them. I don't think with a Tom Izzo team you're ever going to find that. I think they're so well prepared, so well coached. The kids are like tough kids. He gets a certain kind of kid too. I think that helps as well. I think you get a certain kind of kid that fits the kind of style that you want to play. And like you said, those moments are never going to be too big for those kids. And they over the course of time since Michigan State has really been relevant in our lifetime, which is like early like late 90s, early 2000s, they've always been solid. If nothing else, solid there. And like you said, you can't really bet on them to lose like in the first weekend. It's probably not gonna happen. If they're in the tournament, they're probably going to the Sweet 16. They just are, at least.
I get it. Yeah, 100%. That Kansas State Michigan State game is actually happening as we speak. It's halftime. Kansas State up 5, so a good game out there. Elsewhere, the other side, Houston took care of business. They look incredible, especially after that big victory over Auburn. Miami, look, my guy, Norshad Omier, is an X factor. He's an X factor. He's not a guy that's going to be flashy and like stand out to you offensively, even defensively. Like, yeah, he can block some shots and he can stay with you, but it's not like he necessarily stands out. He's 6'7", but the way that guy rebounds and the work rate that he plays with is incredible. I love that guy, and I'm not sure he'll play in the NBA. I'd love it to be wrong there, but he's going to make a lot of money playing basketball after college. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love him. I love the way he played against Indiana. Now in the ACC tournament, he actually went out with an ankle injury early on in their game against Duke, I believe.
Okay.
Which was disappointing, right? But since he's been back, that guy's just an animal.
Yeah, man. Like, what do you have? 17 rebounds in that game?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, he's just. I mean, that's the thing. Like, when he plays with the motor, he's got really good. Like, he's strong, he's physically strong, and so like he carves out space and he goes and gets rebounds. I mean, he's not waiting on things to kind of fall in his lap and hope that he catches it. He seeks out the ball, and for a team like that have shooters, right? So they got guys that take long shots, bad shots, deep shots, right? To secure extra possessions for them. Like that makes a difference, right? So like you just said it before with Kansas State, if you just keep shooting, so those guys on that team, Nigel Pack, I'm drawing a blank on the other guys on the team who shoot from the perimeter now. But those guys are going to keep shooting. Isaiah Wong, is the other guy that. So like if you get these guys more shot attempts, they're eventually going to knock down some shots. And so if you get 17 rebounds, I don't know the number, but I'm sure he had at least 4 or 5 offensive rebounds.
More than that. I think he had 7 or 8. Yeah.
Okay, so like 7 or 8 extra possessions for a team that shoots threes. You can't tell me that those possessions are not valuable. And for a team like that, you can't give Miami second chance opportunities to score because now you've upped their percentages to make a fucking shot. Like that's it. And a guy like him is so valuable for that reason alone, simply securing the basketball and securing extra possessions is so like you can't even put a number on that. You can't quantify how important that is because you give a shooter another shot. Every shooter thinks they're gonna make it again. So you give me another
Yeah.
shot. Oh, I got it back, and they're not set up and they're not set yet. Oh, I'm letting this mug go. So
Mm-hmm.
you can't he's and again I thank you so much because you're the one who told me about him last year, and I haven't forgotten that you're the one that kind of put me on to this guy, and I am so happy to know about him even more so than people are just starting to find out, to have known about him earlier and known what he did last year at Arkansas State. Like you can't beat it. You can't beat it, man.
I
Super
know.
happy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I ran into him just because so what I do during the season is I'll kind of keep tabs on who's having big games or big runs, big stretches. And he had like 4 or 5 games in a row where he had 15 and 15. It's like,
Wow.
what is going on here? And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, his story's crazy. So just real quick, like he didn't come to the United States and start playing basketball until he was a senior. He played basketball before that, but he's from I'm gonna get this wrong, but I think Ecuador.
Okay.
Either way, he's from down in Central America and Nicaragua. He's Nicaraguan. And he came up to the United States as an 18-year-old, played 1 year of high school ball in Miami. Like didn't play for he might have been at a prep school, but either way, it wasn't like IMG Academy. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like any big basketball academy. And he just completely dominated. He had um I might get this wrong. I'm actually going to look it up and we'll continue on.
Okay.
But he had something like 20 and 20 against IMG Academy
Oh wow.
during his senior year. Um, and so, yeah, he ends up going to Arkansas State because um, he never played in the circuit. Like he never played AAU. So he didn't get that attention. Went to Arkansas State. Um, Here's the stat. He scored 40 points and had 17 rebounds against IMG Academy as a
Wow.
senior. So,
Wow.
yeah, just like nuts. So, anyway, it's good to see him at a big school. It's good to see people finally starting to see him shine. And like I said, at 6'7", like I'm not sure he'll play in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Europe loves a 6'7", 6'8", thickly built,
Mm-hmm.
uh center/forward that can just gobble up rebounds and stand in the dunker, catch a pass and drop step and throw it home. So
Yeah,
he'll be in good shape.
for
He'll be
sure.
in good shape.
And it helps that he's already an international player, so he doesn't have the American stigma attached to him pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he won't have the thing about that. So I
Yep.
think he's one of those guys that he'll probably stick, and play for a long
Yep.
time, make a lot of money, win a lot of championships, and we'll probably see him in 5 years winning some Euro League or something, and we'll
Right.
say we knew him then, right? We knew him then.
There you go. Xavier in Texas, 2 and 3 seed. That bracket's pretty much straightforward, right? They had
Mm.
1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 9 all make it to the second round. And 1, 2, 3, and 5 in the
Yeah,
Sweet
they
16.
got pretty clean. That was pretty
Yeah,
clean.
they did. They did. Down below, also pretty clean for the most part. They have Kansas, Arkansas, and
Mm.
Arkansas knocked off Kansas. Look, sometimes a team makes a run in the tournament that just has some dudes, right?
Yep,
And Arkansas is a team that has some dudes.
they've
Right
got some
now,
dudes.
Arkansas is trailing to UConn. Sorry, my speakers are going off. But anyway, sorry, going back to that,
Mm.
they have some dudes.
Yeah, man, like again, they've got talent, right? They're young. There's young talent there, right? But they've got talent, but they're coached well. Again, it's like like that coach, Coach
Muscleman.
Musselman. Yeah, Coach
Yeah.
Musselman is he's one of those guys. Like and if you've heard stories about how his practices are, he is absolutely bananas in practice. But you know what? Again, it preps you for this kind of stuff. These moments aren't going to be big for these guys. And again, the thing with these young players, they've had ups and downs this year. They were ranked high early. They played well in Maui. They had some struggles in the middle of the season. They've been through some stuff already. So while a lot of these guys are young, they're not freshmen anymore. I know people, that's a cliche thing that people say, but they're not, because they've actually been through some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like best player supposedly gets hurt. He's in and out of the lineup all season. Other guys got to step up. No shooting. Most athletic player gets hurt early in the season. He's out. I mean, there's a lot going on. But you know what? I know what they do. They guard. They play fast. They're athletic. They're long. Like that's a lot, you know. And if you can knock down a few shots here and there and keep the other team from making those shots, you get wins. You know, you get wins. And so, I mean,
They're also a pretty long team
really long.
defensively.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really long. I
Yeah.
mean, 6'5", so guards. I think Debo Davis is the smallest guy on the court at 6'3", I think.
Yep.
Everyone else, so Nick Smith 6'5", Anthony Black 6'7". God, now I'm drawing a blank. Athletic kid went to Wichita State.
Jordan Welsh. Oh,
Jordan Walsh too. Jordan Walsh 6'7", 6'8". Ricky Council the fourth, 6'6". They're long. They are long, and they will disrupt passing lanes. They all guard. Ricky guards. Nick guards. They all Debo's elite on ball. Like point of attack defender. Like he's elite. So like they've got some guys that if nothing else, you're gonna have to earn the shots that you make against Arkansas. Anthony Black, obviously, like he's one of the most active defenders in the entire country this year. Like just gets over screens, chases guys off the line, long hair flopping in the wind, looking like Troy Polamalu on the basketball court.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're really long. They're really long and athletic. Yeah, Arkansas is one of those teams that I think could, I can easily see them winning 2 more games and make it to the Final Four. I really can. I really can. So
Yeah, they do have some work to do against UConn as we record.
yeah.
But we'll see what happens there. And then underneath UCLA, Gonzaga. Nothing really terribly crazy happened there. Gonzaga with the 84-81 stunner over TCU. I enjoyed that game, but
That was a game. That was a game.
yeah. But ultimately, pretty much what we would expect. 2, 3, and 4 all made it through. It's just Kansas disappointing a lot of people who had Kansas in their bracket.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so if again, this is not a bracket show, but
no, it's not.
If you could pick one of the remaining teams to win the championship, who would it be?
Houston.
Ooh, okay.
Houston.
Okay.
Houston. I like Houston.
Yeah,
like
mine's Alabama, but I do like Houston.
And Alabama's my second. That's the thing. It's Houston and Alabama too. Those are my 2 teams. That's what I think.
Well, those happen to be the only 2 1 seeds remaining.
Right,
so.
right.
Again, it's just the whole bracket thing. Like,
yeah.
Just
but these are the guys that like I've seen Alabama in person. I don't know 4 or 5 times a season. Got to see Houston in person. Like the team has seen Houston in person at least 4 or 5 times. I got to see him last weekend twice. So the one thing I can say about this, while Jarius Walker is not the guy on that team, he is big as shit, bro. He's a big dude, man, and like he's so skilled and like they're so like talented 1 through 5 that he doesn't have to be the guy, which I like that about him. That means he can just kind of play like Marcus Sasser and the other guards are just so talented. They make shots. They're all tough. They play defense. Like I think the teams that I like a lot, they all play defense and they can make shots. That's it.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, so you got Alabama. I got Houston. And I think you can't really. I mean, they happen to be the number 1 seeds, but like I don't think either of us are picking them because they're number 1 seeds. I think they're just
the best
probably
teams
the most,
left.
Yeah, and they're the most complete teams. I think, in my opinion, they're the most complete teams. So yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, for sure. So not a bracket show. We should.
Nah, I'm not going to help you pick certain teams and certain matchups. That's not what we're here for. But that's fantastic. Always love talking hoops with you.
Yes, sir.
And appreciate the listeners. Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
Man, no, actually, I'm good. I was me and you. I was off before we got on. I was so wired about something else that happened off camera, but I'm like getting to talk hoops. And again, I love talking hoops with you too because you can have a reasonable, logical conversation, right?
Yeah.
And if we agree, if we don't agree, I can understand where you're coming from. You understand where I'm coming from. We can move on gracefully to the next thing, right? And I love just having those kind of conversations. And so, man, like I appreciate you jumping on as always, man. This is fun. And we'll keep doing it. We'll keep doing it.
For sure. Hey, make sure you check out our online store. By the way, I just got I think they made a mistake. They sent me 2 of the dad hats. I ordered one. I got 2, and it's the one with the, I wish I had it with me, but it's the embroidered peach heart basketball
Okay.
on the front. I've got 2 of those, and they're solid quality.
Okay.
But I will tell you, and the listeners, the company we use does have some production issues right now. So if you order something, it may take a little bit. If you've ordered something already and it's taking a while and you're frustrated, I'm sorry. You can send a message to Teespring. It's our supplier. You can send a message to them if you want a refund, but just letting you know they are working through things. I just talked to them today,
Okay.
but it might be a little bit delayed because of some production stuff they have going on.
Yeah. I did place an order as well. I placed a huge order actually. So I think
Nice. Nice.
I bought a dad hat. I bought 3 or 4 sweatshirts. I bought Jesus. I was like, I have to get everything because
Yeah.
I gotta push it. So like I wanted to get it so I can push it. And
There you
so
go.
but yeah, so I was tell everybody the website so they can go to the store too.
It's btlhoopsstore.com. Plenty of different things, including the OG logo. You also have the BTL by Atlanta line with the new logo, a couple other items on there as well, including some hats, a mug, a lot of cool stuff. So head over there. Again, it's btlhoopsstore.com and place your order.
Yes, sir. Please do. Please do. And we'll probably have a video in this call somewhere when we post it on YouTube. But yeah, man. So that's it. I appreciate it, everyone, for tuning in. Follow us on BTO at btlhoops.org. I'm sorry, that's the website. btlhoops.org is the website. Social media, BTL Hoops, Instagram and Twitter, BTL Hoops. Go over to the YouTube page, look up BTL Hoops. You'll find us over there as well. Tons of content, mock drafts out, new mock drafts out, mock draft 3.0 is out. There are a few changes, nothing crazy, but you guys should check it out as well. Full mock is on the website. Top 30 video is on YouTube. Yeah, we're just continuing to knock out some good stuff. FYI, next month will be a complete staff mock draft without my say whatsoever. So that's going to be interesting how the guys, what they think. It's interesting. I was interested to see what the guys think about themselves. So, but yeah, so next month it'll be straight staff, no input whatsoever from leadership. Just you guys rock out, and we'll post it. Post it. I think I'm gonna let them do the video too. I'm letting them do it all by themselves, so I won't have any say. So I'll just post it. Just post it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you so much for tuning in. Till next time, stay right, stay real. God bless.
Peace, guys.